Hi, I'm Frank Cho. Welcome back to my channel. This is just simply a beautiful day at South Shore Park. It's technically still spring, but we'll be heading towards summer very soon. And it feels like summer right now. Beautiful. It's just a beautiful day today. So anyway, I'm just letting my dog out for a walk. She's running around somewhere. But very soon we'll be heading to Corning, in which you'll see for the first time. Here she comes. Yep, here she comes. Where she is, yeah. Yeah, there she is. There she is. Okay. Anyway, Precious, come back. Come. Come on. Oh gosh. Well, anyway, we'll be heading to Corning for the first time, and well, the first time for you viewers, right? Because most of my videos have been sort of solitary, and you get the impression that I live a very lonely and solitary life, which is to a certain extent is true. But I do socialize quite a bit, and I'm really not too far from an urban center. But you get a different outlook of the region around you, despite all the countryside. It's quite accessible to urban amenities and dining and entertainment. All right, so we'll go towards Corning very soon. Yeah. All right, we're heading towards Corning. It's just about less than 15 minutes from here, right from where I live actually at Lawrenceville, because I'm just at the border of the state of New York, Pennsylvania. Here we are. We're exiting into Corning City, right? Corning City. We're exiting Corning City. All right. We are on the outskirts of Corning, and we should be there pretty soon. Alright, we're about to enter into Wegmans parking lot. We'll just stop over for a while. I come to Wegmans about at least once, if not twice a week. Right? Just have a quick lunch most of the time. A quick lunch. At the market cafe that you see right about Wegmans itself, like I was talking about, that it had it's one of the more respected employers in this country because it's a Fortune 500 company, but it was at one time ranked a few times the best employer in the country in the way it treated its workers. It pays its workers very well, right? And even I noticed there's a level of service that is above and beyond compared to other supermarkets such as Tops or Walmart itself, right? But there's a price to be paid because it's obviously not a place for the lower end of Americans or locals, right? Normally the people who shop here are middle or upper middle class, right? Because it is a bit on the expensive side, right? So, but you do get good service, and you do get more than just the national chain brands. You often get smaller brands that you wouldn't find anywhere else, right? So it is a great employer and a great place to shop, right, for your groceries. And you get a few busloads of tourists that make a stopover in this supermarket, right? Normally around lunchtime. Right, there's often a few times a week, right, busloads of tourists coming from around the world, international tourists. In fact, at one time I even happened to come across a Singaporean family that was part of this bus group itself, right? So, but this is a normal transit point as tourists, not just from around the world coming through New York City that stops over here on their way to Niagara Falls, but we also have domestic tourists from other parts of this country itself that visits this region, right? Other parts of the country that goes to New York City and they transit through here for lunch, right? At the same time, they do visit the Corning Glass Museum itself, which I'll bring you there very soon. And then they will head off to Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is perhaps about 2.5 hours away from here. So there's a lot to see around here in Western New York. And let me stress that this is Western New York and not anywhere near New York City, right? New York State is a very big state. We are on the western half of New York State, and it's really different from New York City, right? Or anywhere close to the eastern part of New York. Anyway, I'm gonna get up here and just walk around real fast so you have a fair idea of how it looks around inside here. Okay? Alright. That's the customer service area where you have lottery tickets being sold. You know, I buy them all the time because I always dream about winning $100 million or even possibly $1 billion. Now that is really something. It really would change your life. Now compare that to Singapore. It's only $2 million with their lottery ticket. What a big difference, right? So I'm at the sushi bar here, right? Sushi bar here, but yeah, this one thing that's interesting about sushi around here is that it may come as a surprise to many people outside the world, but sushi has become very mainstream in America. It has become very mainstream in America right now. This would be unthinkable in the, let's say 50 years ago, right? The idea that Americans eat raw fish, right, or raw tuna with whole rice, right, would be unthinkable compared to 50 years ago. But largely, American palates have become more exposed to global trends, and ever since there was the post-World War II occupation of Allied forces or American occupation of Japan, a lot of Americans were exposed, or returning American servicemen and their families, right, were exposed to Japanese cuisine, and sushi is one of them. Right? Sushi is definitely one of them. So today it's actually very mainstream for Americans to eat sushi, right? Very mainstream. Well, you can't give it. So I'm just gonna head out here. This is a great day to be outdoors, and really this is an extremely beautiful day. It's just nice, right? It's just nice, right? And that's Chumang River, and that's a river bank, right? That's the river bank itself. And in fact, far right across past the bridge, you see the black building. That's Corning headquarters, right? But there are other buildings around here. Oh, sorry, that's the Corning Glass Museum, right? And I believe the headquarters is somewhere here, right? This is what they call the Gaffer District, right? The Gaffer District, named after a famous glass maker, right? It's sort of the shopping and dining district of Corning, right? Shopping and dining district of Corning itself. Okay, but we'll be heading towards the shopping district very soon. But in any case, just let me say about this place itself, right? Corning itself was the first settlement in this area was sometime in the late 1700s, right? And it really didn't became a village, incorporated as a village until about the 1840s, I believe so, in 1840s. And finally it was recognized as a city in 1890, right? As a city in 1890. And today, I believe Corning has between 10 to 11,000 people, right? I know that's very small by Singapore standards, right? Very, very small, but it's considered a city, right? With the amenities of a city, right? Amenities of the city itself. So anyway, this is actually as you can see, there's a kind of a bank here. That's prone to flooding, right? But I'm right on the ridge, right? And there was a time when I used to bring my previous dog here, and he loves to run around here a lot, right? Luke, which passed away. My first dog, Luke, which passed away about 8 years, coming to 8 years ago. Okay, but we'll be heading towards the Gaffer District. I'm driving down the Market Street in the Gaffer District. This is the main shopping area in Corning, right? It's actually pretty quiet today because it's Memorial Day, and most of the shops are closed, right? So it's normally more crowded than this, right? But because it's a Memorial Day, a veterans of kind of a solemn day in memory of American veterans, right? So most of the shops are closed today. It's a Monday, right? Usually they're open, but because of the nature of the public holiday today, right? But anyway, there's still people. Some shops are still open, but not many. Not many. I think just a few shops are open. Normally the eateries, the restaurants, yeah, that's about it, right? The eateries and restaurants, yeah. But we'll just probably walk around here for a while, and I'll tell you a little bit about the actually, if you can see here. No, you can't. All right, anyway. Right, we'll stop here pretty soon, and we'll just walk around here for a while, right? I'm at Center Square right now. That's sort of right in the middle of the shopping district, Market Street, right? And it's kind of a common area where people gather around for concerts or live performances when it's available, right? And it's just a focal point right in the heart of the shopping district in Corning, right? We have the Tower Clock there, and that red building is nothing more than a parking lot of Corning employees, right? That work in that building behind the trees. That's the headquarters itself. I believe there's more than a few buildings, but I believe that's the main headquarters in Corning itself, of Corning Incorporated, right? Corning Incorporated, right? I'm just gonna head towards the bridge there, right? The bridge over another bridge that crosses across Chumang River. All right, you get a better idea of the headquarters building that's hidden behind the trees. So I'm just giving you a better idea of the vista around here, right? I'm on the bridge right now, one of the many bridges, one of the few bridges, I won't say many, quite a few bridges that crosses over Chumang River in Corning City, right? Corning City itself. You get a better picture of the rear end of the Corning headquarters, incorporated headquarters itself. this place was prone to flooding. I believe there was a major flooding around here in the 1970s. That's why you see those dikes or those ridges being built, right? We were actually over the other bridge just now, over the other Wegmans, the supermarket is past the other bridge that you see. So we were right now in the middle of the Gaffer District, the bridge on the Gaffer District. And I believe the black building over there is another Corning Incorporated building, and past it, all right, past it would be the Corning Glass Museum. We'll stop over there pretty soon, right? We'll stop over there pretty soon. All right, we're right in the middle of Market Street, and like I said, most of the shops are closed today because of the nature of the public holiday, but it's still a nice, beautiful day to walk around. There's still people around, although most of the shops are closed. All right, let me say something about since we're right in the middle of Corning Incorporated, right, or Corning City itself, right, and we're gonna go to Corning Glass Museum pretty soon. Now you're talking about the manufacture of glass, right? But without going through all the history of the manufacture of glass, let's just talk briefly about the history of window panes, right? Which most of us associate today with office buildings, windows, or retail shop windows, right? Just a brief history about it, right? Before we have huge windows like this, right? Most of glasses that were made, or window panes that were made in the 1700s and the first half of 1800s were what you call a blown glass, right? That were basically a plate glass that was made from molten glass that was blown into a cylinder, and when it was cooled, right, it was sliced and it was flattened out, right? It was flattened out itself. Now, the nature of glass making was obviously limited by the manual procedures itself, right? And so, let's say in the first half of the 1800s, window panes often could not be made more than a yard by a yard, right? Or maybe slightly bigger. Window panes were basically used for avenues for letting light in, right? That's what windows are really for, to let light in or to look outside, but often to be able to let outdoor light to come into an indoor room, right? So the idea of window panes for retail or offices itself is really a recent development, only the second half of the 19th century. Right? This was made possible because by the second half of the 19th century, there's what you call the roller process, right? It's basically plate glass being made through a roller, whereby they could make windows as large as the size of a wall like this. So beginning in the second half of, from the 1870s, 1880s onwards, right, you have some of the major departmental stores in this country that were basically showcasing your products because of the progressive technology of window manufacture, right? Windows were now made through the roller process, where the rollers would just turn out sheets of huge windows as big as the size of a wall. So windows were no longer simply for letting light in, or avenues for letting light in. Now they became accessories to stores to display their merchandise. Right? That's why by the late 1800s, you have major departmental stores such as Macy's or Wanamaker's in the city of Philadelphia or New York City itself that began to have major window displays, right? Especially around Christmas time, right? Around Christmas time, and that's when you begin to see the commercialization of Christmas, when major departmental stores, especially Macy's, right, began to introduce the idea of gift giving and Santa Claus. That became the icon of commerce during Christmas, right? Common during Christmas itself. Right now, today, most windows are made through the float glass system, which basically simply means that glass will basically floated into a bath of often tin metal itself, and the weight of the glass itself allows the glass to simply form a very even shape. But even then, it had to be extracted through a roller process, right? So the roller process is never completely abandoned itself, right? It's just a much more efficient way, or even more immaculate way of having a very crystal clear and even glass through the float process. Okay, I'm just gonna cross the street down because I think it's worth checking out this place, at least from the outside. I believe it's closed today, right? Closed today. But there is this museum here. This is the other museum here that's worth noting. It's called the Rockwell Museum. As you can see the flag up there. Right, the flag up there. Okay, I'm just gonna cross the road so that I'm just gonna cross the road. So you have a good view of the museum, right? Facade itself. Right there, you see it. Right, this Rockwell Museum itself, you can see the date when it was erected. Right, it's really worth visiting, right? Because especially if you're an art enthusiast, right? Because it houses some of the most famous Western painters. There's a common theme of Western art in this museum itself. So you find paintings of N.C. Wyeth, or especially paintings by Frederick Remington, sculptures and paintings by Frederick Remington, the famous Western artist itself, that paints a lot of the rugged individual theme throughout. Paintings of Albert Bierstadt, the famous American landscape artist of the 19th century, that perhaps became very famous for his well-known Niagara Falls painting, which was almost photographic in nature. Right, so this is a place that's worth checking out if you're ever in Corning itself. Right, so besides Corning Glass Museum, this is the other important museum in this city. Just outside the Corning Glass Museum, okay, as you can see, there's another tour bus. There's already about 3 tour buses right now. Right, so anyway, Corning Incorporated is best known for the manufacture of Corning ware, Pyrex, Corel, tableware, kitchen and tableware itself, right? But ironically, they don't actually own or produce these famous brand names that has been associated with the company. In fact, it's sold to Borden not too long ago, and Borden, which basically is agricultural food company that's best known for the Borden condensed milk, among other things, right? Actually now produces and retails Corning ware, Pyrex, and Corel amongst many of its brands, right? Corning Incorporated right now only does commercial or industrial glassware, and it's really best known for today for its glass for not just LCD TV, but also the what you call the Gorilla Glass that is being used on many smartphones, right? Many smartphones itself, right? So it basically not only produces glass for industrial and commercial use, right? Industrial and commercial use, right? We're gonna step inside the glass retail shop, not really the museum. We really don't have time to go through the museum, and I don't think they'll allow you to take videos in the museum, but in the museum shop, it's worth checking out. Okay, yeah. So I'm right now in the glass museum retail shop. It's very pretty inside because all the colors and lights, right? So if you're the kind of person who get depressed during winter, it's good to check out this place, right? In the middle of winter, it's it's just as pretty as it is right now.
You want to?
Right, so there's a lot of, I can see international tourists around here.
Yes.
Quite a lot of international tourists, right? It features some of the artists around here, glass artists. How about that, a collector's version of Monopoly, a glass Prisma edition. There's also a glass Aura edition of Scrabble. In fact, they used to have one for, I believe, yep, Clue or Cluedo itself. Right, Clue. But luxury edition, a glass top. That's just a cafeteria over there, right? And even as you can see today, even there's a lot of quite clearly Asian tourists around here, both from East Asia and South Asia. They used to sell a lot of hourglass like these, right? But these are just for display, right? And they used to sell a lot of lava lamps too, you know, very 70s retro lava lamps. But I don't see any around here. Here it is, right? They do sell some of these. They still sell some of this Galileo thermometer, right? Galileo thermometer, which basically use different liquids to check out, to sort of approximate the temperature itself. Right? Galileo thermometers, right? There you can see it. Right, this is just sort of the common kitchenware straw. You can get it for very good prices around here. I get it for very good price. Alright, I'd like to add that because Corning Incorporated is such a major employer of not just locals but really the international community, because largely because of its global presence, they actually have a substantial minority of Asian employees in the headquarters around here. So in any case, I think this is a good way to end this video itself, right in the heart of a major corporation, Fortune 500 corporation in the city of Corning, which is obviously named after the company itself. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you the next time.